How's it going, everyone? This is Mitchell Mander here, and welcome to another review of Pokemon Journeys. Today we're going to be covering episode 32, which is a Go-centric episode in which Go heads with his parents on vacation to the Johto region, and he's in Azalea Town. There he reminisces about a time 3 years earlier in which he met a friend who was looking for Celebi while he was looking for Mew, and they bonded, and a promise was made that was unfortunately broken. So, an interesting tidbit here is that this is the first episode in the Pokemon anime's 23-year run in which Ash and Pikachu don't make a single appearance in the episode. There hasn't been an episode before this in which they haven't appeared, and this is the very first one. So, Go is taking the main character role in this episode. So, does it hold up? Anyways, before we get into the review, if you like this type of content, be sure to like and subscribe as I cover this series on a weekly basis or whenever the episodes come out. Anyways, let's get on to that review. So the episode begins with Go and his family arriving in the Johto region at their destination. It's a cabin over near Azalea Town. Go's grandmother unfortunately didn't come with them, so it's basically just Go and his parents. And Go's parents worked really hard the night before so they could earn this vacation. So it's funny too, because as soon as they get to the cabin, they basically just pass out immediately. Shows how hard their work life is. But anyway, his goal here is, of course, to capture some Pokemon. However, while he's walking around, and I'm guessing at some point he must have explained the whole background of what's going on in this episode to Ribu and Sobble, because we then go 3 years in the past in which Go, once again, he's out on vacation with his parents and they pass out immediately at the cabin, just like in present day. But Go, being a 7-year-old kid after encountering Mew a year earlier at Professor Oak's little research camp or whatever it was back in episode 1. It's been a while since I watched that episode. But anyways, he's off looking for Mew, and he thinks he's found Mew. Unfortunately, he accidentally runs into a kid named Tokyo, who's actually looking for Celebi. Now, Tokyo over here, he's pretty much the Johto version of Go, as in he's fixated on Celebi, whereas Go over here, he's fixated on Mew. And as the two talk and they kind of hang out and they're walking around, they actually form quite a strong bond and a strong friendship forms. So Go decides to help out Tokyo over here find Celebi. So Go whips out this device that his parents actually built for him so they would help him find Mew. But instead he uses it to help Tokyo out here and help find Celebi instead, in which they find out that Celebi's last known location was at a shrine in the Ilex Forest. So the two boys head over there, they go through a cave, and on the other side there's a bunch of tall grass, which they struggle to get through, and they end up running into an Gyarados and a Pineco, which attack both of them. So Go decides to tell Tokyo, hey, wait here for a second. So he runs back to the cabin, and he brings over the owner of the cabin's Sunflora, which Sunflora actually uses Razor Leaf to cut down the grass, so they're able to make it to the end. And they end up finding this tree that's near a cliff. And there's actually a pretty nice view here, but it's at the end of the day, and Sunflora passes out. So basically, they're done for the day. So they basically hang out. They're under the stars. They're just basically talking about Pokemon, and some interesting conversation. They talk about like Starmie and Rayquaza and all that stuff. So Go and this kid Tokyo, they got a pretty strong bond. So they decide the next day they're gonna meet back up and once again search for Celebi. So they split off. Go goes one way down the road, and then Tokyo over here goes the other way. So the next day comes, Go heads out to the same location they were at, and unfortunately Tokyo is nowhere to be found, which disappoints Go, who was let down that Tokyo basically abandoned him despite saying a promise, saying that they're gonna meet up the next day, and then Tokyo breaks it. So Go, he lashes out in anger at Tokyo and ends up walking back in the rain. His parents pick him up, and yep, that's the end of the story 3 years earlier. So back to present day, Go, Ribu, Sobble, they're heading back out basically to the same area that Go was at in the Ilex Forest. And he ends up running into an Gyarados and a Pineco, and Go manages to catch both of them. In the past, he ran away from these two Pokemon, but in present day, he actually catches both of them. And then he actually ends up running into the Celebi Shrine, and looking at it and realizing, hey, after all this time he finally found the shrine. But then he notices there's a note there. He opens it up and it's actually Tokyo to Go, in which he says he's sorry he broke the promise. It turns out that Tokyo caught a bad fever the next day and was unable to leave his house. So he basically was unable to fulfill a promise because he fell ill. So Tokyo, he still kept looking for Celebi, and a year later, he actually manages to find the shrine, and that's when he decided to write that note just in case Go comes back someday and finds it, just so he can apologize. So, well, Go is looking at the letter, he's kind of choking up a bit, and that's when Tokyo in present day actually runs into Go, and before they could say anything, the episode ends, in which in the background we can see a Celebi and a shiny Celebi in the background flying away. So an interesting way to end the episode. So it ends with them meeting again, but we don't know what they say, what their conversation is after this point. It's basically left up to our interpretation. So I have to say, I was actually pretty impressed with this episode. I know the opening practically overshadowed this episode, but this episode was pretty nice. And despite the fact that Ash and Pikachu aren't here in this episode, Go handles himself pretty well in this episode. You get to see that Go has grown as a character already. As when he was a kid, he was running away from those Pokemon, but he's grown stronger now, and he catches both the Gyarados and the Pineco now. So I like that, and I like the dynamic it adds to his character. It shows why Go became the kid he was before he met Ash. Because he was very stubborn, he was set in his own ways, he didn't have a whole lot of friends, he was very distrusting. Like in episode 3 when he said, "Oh, so you're one of those people." You know, so it's all kind of tying in pretty nicely, and you get to see, you know, how Go is slowly changing over time. Because, like, if this was Go, like, had Go had shown up, you know, if this was, like, pre-episode 2 Go, and he hadn't met Ash yet, and he hadn't caught all his Pokemon yet, and he was just, you know, finding that note, or just running in that area, and he runs into Tokyo there, he probably would have lashed out at him, or just walked away from him and ignored him. That would have been Go back then. The Go now, he's a little bit more compassionate, he's a bit more understanding, and thanks to Ash, you know, he's a bit more friendlier, so I could see those two having a pretty friendly conversation, you know, after the credits ended for this episode. So I thought it was pretty nice overall. So honestly, that's really all I got for this episode review. So overall, it was a pretty nice episode despite the fact that Ash and Pikachu were not in it. Go held his own in the episode pretty well. And yeah, it's a nice episode overall. I'd probably say it's like an 8 out of 10 episode. The music was also pretty nice. I should also mention that. The music was really nice towards the end of the episode, so that adds point to the episode as well. So overall, good episode. I don't know about a whole series of Go being the main character and Ash being completely absent. Not really sure how I feel about that at the moment, but this episode, it gets a pass by me. So anyways, guys out there, what'd you think of this episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Post your thoughts in the comment section down below. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will talk to you all later. Stay safe out there, everyone, and have a great day. Bye.